Broadcasting live from the backstretch at Saratoga, this is the Handicappers Report. Brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth, Merrow. I am Anthony Mormino on the final Saturday of 2024 and another glorious morning, at least to do television.
Final Saratoga Saturday of 2004. Yes. And so far, so good. I mean, the forecast earlier this week was a little iffy, but it looks nice now. So hopefully this holds out through the rest of the day and into the next couple of days as well. And we wind up having a nice weather-wise closing weekend because we have some good stakes races lined up, obviously. It's typical on the weekend up here, but it's typical also on a Labor Day weekend. Don't forget the Windbreaker giveaway. I think that's tomorrow, so keep that in mind if you're headed up to the track. Maybe you want to pick that up. Free with admission while supplies last up here, and also some events coming up here at OTB. I'll hit those in a few. But yesterday there was the unfortunate spill. The updates on that, Eric Hansel walked off. Castellano, Dave Grenig reported, went to the hospital. I think Albany Med, but I'm not sure. But regardless, went to the hospital and had one of his wrists was sore, but the X-rays were negative. That was very good because it was a scary spill. Certainly, unfortunately, the Tom Morley horse was euthanized, but it was a scary situation, and both jocks seem to have come out all right. The other horse seems to have come out all right. So, but it was, as I say, a scary spill yesterday.
I know it's immaterial. Do you think he was going to win?
No. Certainly looked in that fashion, yes.
It's up. But the good news for yours truly, Shore Breeze in the last jump at almost $27. It's been a good last week so far. First half of the last week. But, certainly puts a, downer on it. Nature of the game. But we'll move forward. I think I heard Frank Mir might have said like the 114th running of the Saranac. As I said, it's one of the older races on the Naira calendar. I don't think it strikes people that way, but it is.
Update, with 3 days of racing left to go. Irod Ortiz at 45, Flavian Prot at 40, Tyler Gaffley on 36, Dylan Davis at 33. I think I read on Twitter yesterday he has a 40% RO. It's mind-boggling what Dylan Davis has done.
It is, and because I know how people people. I guess it's difficult for people who remember the way I remember, but people just won't remember it. It's just the nature of. I say the nature of people. They just are. I always say lazy. I'm like they'll just be like, they'll just miss it. Now, what's funny is, and it was a different world in '99. But Prado's was 50%.
No.
And Prado had an awful first week. He was amazing the last. And that's another people forget. Like, he just was, as I said, I think he was 1 for the first week. And then he just exploded and finished, I think it's right, like literally $3 exactly. And I've said it before. It's been a generation since then. I've never seen anything like it. And if Dylan Davis doesn't meet it, think about the reactions you're having to it, and it's superseded by something, in your lifetime.
Yeah. It's for folks who are new to the game, for a jockey to go through a 40-day meet like this, or where we are at this, and be 40% above. I wish I could see it parsed out where the next jockey is, because I'm sure it's nowhere close. So it's just I
don't think anybody else is above the mark.
I know like 3 weeks ago,
60,
nobody else was.
60 mounts. Yeah. I mean, no one has, I would have to say of the regular 8 or 9 in the room, he has 8 of the 10 highest mutuals.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think that's safe. Yeah.
And it looks like he's, it's like, right? He won on opening day, right? He's going to have the highest mutual. But I want to say that's fine, and it's. But when you watch him ride right now, he's riding so well. I mean, his decision making is. I mean, think about how many right decisions you have to make on a 10-1 shot. I mean, and the choices he's making are just so good as an athlete right now. He's what do they say to pilots? Call the ball or something. I watched him run third and second on horses, and I'm just like putting him in the right positions, and he's such a good finisher now because one of the things you have to get used to is I met him years ago with his dad, who's my age, and we were just talking. He's a man now. He's not a young kid anymore. He's stronger. He's smarter, and he's it's going to be one of the. I did the work on Manny Akaza's 1959. There will never be another meet like that. The guy missed 3 days of racing and still won 41 races in 21 days. It's unbelievable how good he was that year. And Prado, as I mentioned.
And then didn't he wind up driving sulkies across the street?
Oh, he did.
Manny?
Manny, I suspect there's a very good biography in that person. Very interesting. Then he made the comeback, right? On the flats.
I don't remember.
Well past the day. I think the story I always liked about Manny was he'd get DQ'd from 8th. He'd just be like, I think that year, it was 1959. He won 41 races. It was the record for 24 days forever. I think it was the record for 30 days. I don't think anyone superseded it. But he got set down like 2 days for suspension during the meet. He was gone one day. But I did the work one time. It was amazing. And then Prado, and then this. Just this is like a generational type of meet for Dylan Davis, and kudos to him.
Yeah. On the trainer side of things, again, that was settled a little bit.
No, certainly settled when Chad had 4 2 days ago. That was the end of that.
Chad at 30,
Thursday.
Chad at 35, Todd at 20, Todd and Mike Maker at 21, Linda Rice 16, and both at 15, Mark Cassie and Bill Montcassie. The other guys are having good meets as well. Mark Cassie.
There'll be no Bernard Baruch tie-up this year.
Have Mark Cassie a little bit. Oh, that horse is doing a little dance out there.
Prancing.
Have Mark Cassie a little bit later on, an abbreviated racing across America because they start early today, 12:05 post time here. So Talking Horses will start at 10:30, and I'll tout you to watch because I believe I read Andy Serling on Twitter yesterday said it's the annual visit from Andy Beyer on Talking Horses, so worth watching. I don't think it was last year. I think it was 2 years ago.
Correct.
He had 9 winners on top when he sat in for Talking Horses.
I think one of them was a Dylan Davis winner.
Wow.
At a price.
So he was foreseeing the future. But so keep that in mind. I'll hit you also with the promos coming up.
Here we go. We're gonna have another moment here. Another adult acting.
With the guys in the carts sometimes are not don't play the game.
They think there are no rules applicable to them.
Yeah, if you're in a cart, all of a sudden you're invisible. Coming up today at the Clubhouse Racebook, it's the King of the Hill contest. So if you're swinging by the clubhouse, you can have a little extra fun. Today it's also the Bounty Bet. Play the late pick 5, the last pick 5 here at Saratoga. Play with your Capital OTB bet account. You get a shot at the bounty. Sunday, it's the pick 3 bankroll. Entries are still open. They're open until about noontime tomorrow. Go to capitalotb.com, click on the promotions link, then look for that graphic. You'll find an entry form, put your name on the form, and perhaps you will get selected for the team for tomorrow afternoon's pick 3 bankroll. And again, coming up top of the hour, an abbreviated edition of Racing Across America, but we had Mark Cassie sit in here after we were done on Thursday. We taped a nice interview with Mark, and so we'll air that at 10 o'clock on Racing Across America.
What is it? Tomorrow we'll have an abbreviated Handicappers Report and an abbreviated Loose on the Lead.
Yeah,
we have come to a meeting of the minds.
45 for each. We'll start at the regular time, 9 to 9:45, 9:45 to 10:30. But again, Talking Horses tomorrow will start at 10:30 because, again, it's a 12:05 post time up here. So keep that in mind as well.
12:05 to 7. Well, there you have it. It's like going to the what was the old double features at the movies, but this is more like a triple feature, etc. We'll see. It's going to be a very nice day. I think it's time for the DePaula Chevrolet Play of the Day. That'd be up next.
The race for savings is going on now at DePaula Chevrolet. Pick your Chevy, pick your payment, and DePaula delivers. Or every Chevy, 0 down payment, 0 first payment, 0 security.
So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs.
Hello, everybody. Kevin Cox, the Brooklyn Cowboy, here with your final DePaula Play of the Day from beautiful Saratoga Race Course. We've been giving you our plays of the day on Fridays and Saturdays throughout the meet, and we've been basing our success on a 50 to win, 30 to place, 20 to show wager. And after showing a flat bet profit in our first 2 years in doing this, we're already locked in for a third straight year of doing the same, as we're up about 27% for our bankroll team, as we've amassed a 13 starts, 5 wins, 5 placings, and 2 showings record to date heading into Friday's action. Our DePaula Play of the Day today will be in race number 1, number 8, America's Honor. This fella encountered some trouble down at the shore in his May debut, but still managed to complete the triple that day and has since been giving a bit of a freshening. The speed figure earned that afternoon was very much on the low side, but we always like to give a runner at least 2 opportunities under a particular set of circumstances to show their true stuff. And given the pedigree, we have no problems in doing that at all at a 15-to-1 morning line offering. So once again, our DePaula Play of the Day for the final time in yet another profitable year for us at Saratoga is in race 1, number 1, America's Honor. Have a fantastic Labor Day. Have a great closing weekend. Thanks for your support all summer long, and we'll see you at the race.
The race for savings is going on now at DePaula Chevrolet. Pick your Chevy, pick your payment, and DePaula delivers. Or every Chevy, 0 down payment, 0 first payment, 0 security.
So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from Clare Court on another beautiful morning trackside. Very comfortable temperature if you're under the lights and wearing a jacket. We kick off at 12:05, 6.5 furlongs. The capital R maiden special weights.
4, 7, 3, and 5. I'll put Printer's Alley on top. Taking the action on the morning line, there might live up to 1,000 words is good. With first-time starters this year, 27 of them, 5 wins, couple seconds, couple of thirds. Worked 10.2 before the Ocala sale. The lone racing sibling, however, was off the board in a couple of starts. So I guess mixed messages. But with Todd Pletcher and those bullet works, I think is going to live up to that morning line favoritism. So we'll put Printer's Alley on top. Second spot, Executive Order. There's a sibling called Hallie B. Third, fifth, and then a couple of wins in the 4th and the 5th starts. Workouts aren't, necessarily jumping off the page, but there was enough there. And then in 3rd position, experience counts. And so we'll put Friday Surprise in the mix. Certainly the 2 numbers this one is thrown as compared to the other horses that have already raced are pretty good. So Friday Surprise in the 3rd spot, 4, 7, 3, and 5.
The firster beat me yesterday. I kind of think I always have an edge. And one thing you can feel confident, or I feel confident, is that there's obviously stuff out there for David Aragona to make a firster 6-5. And I believe that stuff, and I'm comfortable with that. But as I said the other day, there's only been a real couple horses in 40-plus years, Seth, that the buzz was so legitimized in the afternoon. I got beat yesterday, but I'm comfortable playing the veteran over the firster at a short price for the firster. So I'm 3-4-9, and really that's what it came down to. I don't know that Park's numbers transfer well over to Naira, let's say, because Seth, I would find it hard to believe that Friday Surprise repeating the debut, the firster supersedes that. And I'm certainly not willing to find out at even money or about that. So I took Friday Surprise, who's making the third career start, which I like. And the Saratoga number being a dip, I'm not so much concerned about the Parks of Saratoga. That to me is a less well thing, which I'm comfortable with. And then Printer's Alley, 1,000 words has already set his mark on the meet right by about 6 o'clock on opening day. Then Bernie goes boom. And I'm guessing that's an older person hockey fan. Boom, boom, Jeffrey on. Or maybe it's not. It's actually, that's so far along. I don't think that could be actually the case. But 3, 4, 9.
Second race this afternoon, we are looking at maiden specials scheduled for 8.5 on the grass.
These races are, I got to think, a racing secretary's dream. They just line up, and you have the maximum field size of 10. You have 3 AEs. You have 3 MTOs. 8-5-1. We land in the same place. 5-1 is about as low as I'm going, and I'm not so sure we're going to get early adopter Chad Brown, Klarovich. The part that I like, and I think Klarovich has been ahead of that. What is it? Lupa de Vega has had a great year last year at Saratoga. I mean, this is a stallion that I think, were on the forefront of getting the runners. So I'll take that. I wouldn't want, here's an example, Seth. Yesterday, my play of the day at Del Mar was 10 or 12-1 in the morning line. I really thought I'd seen something sneaky. It doesn't matter. So the race comes off. It's the try favorite at 5-2. You don't often see that at Del Mar. We don't see that in New York. And I'm like, well, I want no prices. If early adopter is 8-5, I don't want the horse. That's one of those angles. My sisters look at me like, what does it matter? Well, check in once a year with your little brother about why it matters. And then Battle Drum, a firster who's actually lower on the morning line at 4-1, and then Complex Agenda, the other Todd Pletcher horse. It's a very interesting race to me. The board, though, is a very important part of this interest to me. 8-5-1.
8, 9, 1, and 6 for me. I thought the 7 could be a little bit of a player as well, but I also used early adopter. Lupe de Vega is very solid with first-time starters. Chad and Klarovich are always well met with their runners, so I would expect this one to be the same. Executive Phil Mott runner by Constitution. Thought there was some win early there. Nature and nurture, as it were. Bill Mott can have them ready, and Constitution certainly is notable on the sire line. Complex Agenda. Quality Road, very good with first-time starters. The dam Nona Mella herself won 3 of the first 5 starts of the career, so I thought some win early there. Interesting workouts underneath for Todd Pletcher. Statesman going out for West Point and Company for Shug, I think should benefit from the first out education. So fun race. I have it 8, 9, 1, and 6.
You know what I was looking at, Seth, here with the AEs that you usually give a closer look than me. If the circumference of the track allowed them in, all 3 of them would be solid contenders. All 3 of them would add to the depth of this race considerably.
Yeah, particularly if the 12 gets in.
Yes.
Well, Grand Motion with the Oscar Performance runner as well. So they're interesting.
On to the third. We are 5.5 on the Mellon Turf Course. State Bred's entry-level allowance.
7, 6, 3, and 9. Nano Man going out for our friends at America's Pastime off a nice win earlier in the meet to break the maiden. I say often it's tough to move to the next condition. And sometimes it takes a start or 2 to figure it out. But off the maiden breaker and looking at the rest of this field, I think this horse will be an okay fit and maybe can string a couple together. So I'll put Nano Man on top, your man Alex in the second spot. Going out for Melanie Giddings, and her horses have been performing very well. When Sean Bridgemahan hops on board, that's the case here. Comes out of a nice little third-place finish last time at this level. So I think this one, in good form, has been proven at the level, makes a lot of sense in here. And Twisted Filigree in the third spot. And off the turf for the last time that I'm going to draw a line through, had some trouble in that race as well. I think getting back to the turf this afternoon. We'll get back to what we saw with the prior numbers. Third start back off a layoff. Did put an improved number in the seasonal debut. So I would think we stand a good chance of getting back to and maybe improving on that with this return to the turf here in the third start back. So Twisted Filigree, a real player. I have it 7, 6, 3, and 9.
I'm going to jump over. I think Twisted Filigree is intriguing here for 2 reasons. One is that question that I asked, like you would ask, because I think trainers would be completely honest about this. Did George Weaver stay in that race so that he would keep his position in line for this race? That's A for me. B, or you would really think with a distorted humor, hey, maybe I'll like the mud.
Yeah.
But then C, you lose all chance at the start. So it's very Twisted Filigree intrigues me very much. The not intriguing part is at 3-1. Well, they're saying he has some skill set, which he displayed off of the year-plus layoff, or the first weekend of the meet. I went for your man Alex on top. I just think solid 3 performances in here. And if you're looking, the second one to me is really, Seth, kind of equal to the first 2, because that's about as minimal a regression as I expect after a solid debut. I think your man Alex is a very solid player in here at 4.5-1. Twisted Filigree, I almost think there are more questions. And then Street Rod, War Dancer is a very good, influential stallion, and Dylan Davis just making so many right moves. 6-3-1 in a start of a mandatory pay pick 5. Good luck getting through the first leg.
All right, I'm going to do Dark Horse Play of the Day here, and I have a visual aid. I'll tell the guys in the control room, just hold off until I set it up. I'll tee you up here. But I went out to the Spinaway, and I'm going to use Salted in here. Again, Mark Cassie is on a little bit later. He'll talk about this. And I pulled up the stretch run for Mark, and he said, fellas, I said, wait, so I could set it up. You're watching the 6 source here. Watch the 6 source. You can see it goes to the back of the pack. That is Salted. So just makes a tremendous run in here. And I wanted to show, again, with Mark, I showed the stretch run, and he said, man, we missed the best part because stumbles at the start. You can see the chicklet's there. He's off she's off the screen. Now it comes on and is going to make a run and wind up second in here. It was just a phenomenal performance. Finished second to Immersive. Immersive's back in here, and Immersive ran very well. But boy, I think this effort was phenomenal given that start. And as I say, being off the screen for a while, you can see here, it's hard to believe she's going to get up for second. Well, watch this stretch run. Now, this was the second career start off a second place finish in the debut. So still a maiden, and made this kind of an effort to get up for second. By Tappet very good with first-time starters this year, 36 of them, 4 first, 6 seconds, 3 thirds. So good numbers.
Famous run out here.
Good numbers this year, and all time with 2-year-olds, tap at 17%. So solid numbers with Desire. And again, I give those first out numbers and 2-year-old numbers. First out numbers just kind of signal win early. This one is obviously making the 3rd career start. But Mark comes back off of this effort. Now, I will say, out of that race we just saw, 3 of the horses have run back. Including the 3rd place finisher, Spun Candy. None have run better than 5th. So that's maybe a little bit of a negative. And when you get a big kind of eye-popping performance like that, it can be one of 2 things. The horse can be that good, or the field can be that bad. And so we're maybe still sorting that out a little bit. But I couldn't ignore that trip. It was just, to be in the back of the pack like that, make a run at the 6 furlongs. Now we get the 7 today. I think Salted is very, very intriguing this afternoon in the Spinaway. So the Dark Horse Play of the Day today, race number 11, the Spinaway, horse number 6, Salted, brought to you by the Dark Horse Mercantile in downtown Saratoga and Impressions of Saratoga, their sister store right down the street. Again, if you're in town this weekend for the holiday weekend, watch a little racing, stop by Impressions and Dark Horse, say hello. You will enjoy your visit, and we thank them for the sponsorship of the Dark Horse Play of the Day.
Intriguing. Javier Castellano, I think, is off all of his mounts, so Salted will have to find. They had to find somebody after Jose Ortiz, who was the jockey in the race you just showed. They went to Javier Castellano. Now they're going to have to find third time is the charm. We'll be right back.
More than 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 102-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 102 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
It only takes one upset to make history, and now you can be part of Saratoga's long tradition at the Dark Horse Mercantile. The Dark Horse Mercantile offers a carefully curated selection of clothing, gifts, and home decor, from one-of-a-kind vintage racing memorabilia to select brands like Barber and Under Armour, as well as exclusive Dark Horse branded merchandise. So celebrate the Dark Horse in all of us at the Dark Horse Mercantile, downtown Saratoga, where the smart bet is always the Dark Horse. Welcome back to the Handicappers Report on this Saturday morning. And again, you have some horses working out behind us. Gorgeous morning here at Saratoga. Sun is popping out, so it looks like a nice morning. Hopefully it leads into a very nice afternoon as well. Fourth race on this Saturday afternoon. Maiden 20 claimers going 6.5.
I'm all outside here. 9-8-7 forced errors, making the third career start. Is by Top Pick. Sharp on debut, sprinting on the dirt. Dull in second career start, rooting on turf. Well, we're back to 6.5 on the dirt. In for a tag, lowest tag of the third 3 starts. Shaking the bell. Going to the post for the 10th time. The second most veteran in the group. Been very competitive for a tag. And then Confabulation. Is that it for Chad Brown? Second time starter. They had blinkers. I've said this before many times. I'm a very compartmentalized person when it comes to races on sloppy and muddy racetracks, so we'll try it again. Nowhere near 10-1 today, running for a much cheaper tag. 9-8-7.
I have it 8, 7, 2, and 5. I put Shaking the Bell on top. I thought in good form, and Rudy's having a nice meet. He's got off to a little bit of a slow start, but having a nice meet subsequently. And I think this one seems primed for a good effort here this afternoon. Now, 9 tries and hasn't gotten it done yet. Still a maiden, but seems to be knocking on the door and maybe improving a little bit for the move into this afternoon. Confabulation, certainly going to take a lot of action. It's Chad, it's Klarovich, dropping from a 75 maiden claimer into a 20 maiden claimer. I will say I looked it up the last 3 years with a 50% or more drop in claiming price for Chad. 3 for 12, 25%. So not invincible, but certainly with these connections and the drop will take some money. And I'll be interested to see how many shakes for the horse, because I'm sure that somebody will dip in for the claim. Torpedo Run becomes the other Chad Brown runner, and I think this one is playable off the last race down at Monmouth. It was on a wet, fast track, so that's a little bit notable. But third start back at this 20 claiming level, I think is going to be a cozy fit. So 8, 7, 2, and 4.
Before we put how many horses are they saying Rudy's run so far? Is it 80 yet?
Mine were a few days old, 79, so it has to be over 8, because I printed these like 3 days ago.
That's got to be the most, right? No one, I don't know. I wouldn't even think anybody's even close.
Well,
it's at 80. I mean, that's
no,
that's a lot.
No, Chad's got 130 something.
Oh, Chad's got 130 horses. Yeah. 2 a day, 3 a day, 3 a day, right? That's
probably
3.5 a day almost. And he wins with 2 of them. On to the 5th. Optional claimers, 2X, 6.5 also.
5, 6, 2, and 8. Federal judge on top for Brad Cox. Came back from a long layoff last time. Showed some early speed and faded a little bit. It was with a little bit of an improvement in the number. So this horse now comes back as a lightly raced 4-year-old in the second start back. And should be primed off of that effort last time. Second spot, accretive. Talented Chad Brown runner, but I don't think has quite lived up to the talent or the perceived talent that they hope for, perhaps, for this horse. But it is a talented runner. Comes off a second place finish here at Saratoga last time in a somewhat similar event. Now they go a little bit further down the claiming ladder. Could be very dangerous with all that scenario working. Mike Dubb and Brad Cox have Top Gunner off the claim. Claimed out of a very similar race last time, ran third, I think, is a player in with this bunch again this afternoon, particularly with those connections. 5, 6, 2, and 8.
I took a flyer here on Light Man. Even off of the career best in the most recent performance, we probably need a slight improvement off of that or a regression from the 5-6 here. And it would, to me, the 5 and the 6 were so close to each other. I didn't think I had an edge with either one. So Light Man, to me, who I think for Bruce Levine, who's had a sensational meet, we have a strong chance of receiving that price. I went to Chad Brown. Chad, you're right, 138. I wonder if he's run 100 races, though. He has so many multiple horses in
30.
Races. I
could see him doubling up in 30 races.
Easily. Obviously he's had a couple stakes races where he's had 4.
Yeah.
So, and then Mike Maker, I saw he's over 100. Mike probably has run in 90 plus races. That'd be 465 for me. Federal Judge, second start. Now, for me, the problem with Federal Judge is the big effort off of the year layoff. But that was July 20th in great hands. Brad Cox could repeat it, but I wanted an outsider. I'm 465. And
I will note our friends at Bonaventure,
Yes.
Dan Collins and company, have Oceans Reserve in here. I always say if you're in a partnership, this is the kind of horse you want. He always runs competitively, was beaten last time, but they tried Stakes Company in the Morrissey off a layoff. May run better. I took a serious look at
these waters are
Oceans
deep,
Reserve.
though. I know it was a stake, the Morrissey, but
He's
hitting the board here would be good.
He's got back numbers that are
yes.
in the mix here, maybe second off the layoff. But again, always rooting for our friends at Bonaventure. All right, 6th race today. Maiden specials going 5.5 on the grass.
8-6-9. I took a 30-1 shot on top in a race full of firsters, etc. Maximum field size 10. Take me to Paris. So not only do I wish for that, but borderline guessing for me. The 1 is fine. There's a lot of them were fine, but I just thought the workouts indicated we're ready. We'll see. I gotta believe. You don't get crazy odds anymore. I've touched on that. But I gotta believe we'll get at least 25-1. Brindy making the second career start for Christophe Clement. I think the race goes through the 6th. Seth, you have it in second. Being favorite in the debut, but I thought the debut was, maybe not the result you wanted, but as a race, it was good. And then number 9, Tam I Am. Todd Pletcher's debut runner here, 8-6-9 for me.
5, 6, 3, and 1. I'm going with Larice. I don't think Larice. I'm going with Larice there. By Bolt Euro, good sire, first out runners, purchased at an Ocala sale earlier this year, worked a quick 9.4 before that. George can have him ready, George Weaver. There were a couple of workouts that indicate this horse may be okay and well met in the debut. I'll tilt in that direction. But yeah, Brindy, there was a sibling called Boston Rose. Had a debut win on the grass in France. This one debuted and ran decently as the beaten favorite despite some trouble. So, yeah, Brindy's going to be the one to beat, you would think, with that scenario. Moonlight Promises goes out for Mark Cassie. Sibling called Coppertown, second in debut, won the next 3 starts. There were other win early siblings also. I think this one, off the first couple starts of the career, is going to be very intriguing with the switch to the turf in particular. I'll say Scarlet Sand's the number 1 horse from Chad Brown. There were some win early siblings there. Also had a sibling that was a winner on turf. So there are some things to like about the 1 as well. 5, 6, 3, and 1.
Quick note, Sam, if you need the spreadsheet sent in a different format, let me know. If it worked for you, let me know. I sent it right away when you gave me the info. I did not get, but I sent it in a PDF. If that doesn't work, I can send it in a worksheet. if you just want to read the data. What I'd like to we'll talk about spreadsheets. What I'd like to see is these Ocala sales that you've always been ahead of the curve and on top of, like the 25 fastest, the sales price, and then the career records. Because it's like, I haven't heard, down the road, let's say somebody say, oh, this, after they've done stuff, like even as a 3-year-old say, oh, this one sold at the Ocala sale after running like 9.8 or something. It seems to go away, the information. And I wonder if any of them have really, gone to not the head of the class, but just really done some good stuff as a 2-year-old. Because you figure
I think they can prove to be precocious, but I don't know that then translates to, $1 million earner.
Because to me, it's like one furlong doesn't really tell me that much, but apparently it must be the barometer by which they can make sales. So it tells somebody something. We'll be right back.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Race 7, Fillies and Mares, 1X going 7/8.
1, 4, 9, and 5. There's a silver lining on top. Goes out for Mike Maker. Had a little bit of a break. These days, April to June isn't much, but did come back with a win down at Churchill. Then comes up to Saratoga and runs 4th as the beaten 3-5 favorite. I'll give this one another chance, given the action this one took last time. Beaten favorites always worth taking a second look at. So I'll go with there's a silver lining in a field where I could go with maybe equal confidence in various directions. Zadorsky in the second spot also made the Churchill to Saratoga move. Did it a little more successfully than the top pick, running a good second against allowance non-winners, so one other than Types. There's a silver lining, was in the starter allowance last time. So class-wise, maybe you have to suss out a little something here. But Zadorsky was in similar company and ran well. And then in the third spot, our friends at West Point have Misenchanted. Win at Ellis, 2-back, was a nice victory to break the maiden, then came up to Saratoga to drop into this first level allowance company. Ran okay, I thought, as far as getting experience at this next level, should benefit from that. 1, 4, 9, and 5.
7-2-9, catching heat coming to Saratoga off of a Monmouth 2-turn race. A good effort there until the 8th pole. That was first time versus winners for Chad. For his second, Reliable Lady. Fernando Abreu sends out this runner to take on winners for the first time. Broke the maiden going 7/8. That was on the second day of the meet. And as I mentioned earlier, Javier Castellano, I think it is official. He's off his mounts today. And then Misenchanted, Dale Roman's runner coming in, as Seth mentioned. But 7-2-9. And I think a very intriguing entry-level allowance.
We go one more before the break. Is that the idea?
3-6-9. So we just got back from break, and we're going to do a few races.
8th race today, maiden specials, going 7.
There we go. I said I kind of backed off the significance of these 7 furlong races. I was living in my late 1980s memory, but I do love 7/8 races, stakes races, etc. All of them. 6, 8, 2 for me. Full field of 10 with 3 AEs here. Makes sense. A first-time starter, Centennial Farms, an offspring of Street Sense, Todd Pletcher's runner. Irad takes the mount in here, well-suited. A Godolphin runner for Bill Mott and Uncle Mo. And for third, Guns Loaded, a gun runner. 6, 8, 2 for me in a race that the horizontal. Oh, this is
we don't have any the same. Yikes.
The start of the pick 6, the eighth race. I think that's
Yesterday it was 7, and it was getting late in the day.
Today is 8. I think this is fantastic, though, Seth. Your observation, I think, is helpful that we have 60% of the field covered. Let's just we're good on time. Let's see who. So you don't have 2. Who do we not have together? The 4 and the 5. Well, I could, live with those, and the 10. I think this is emblematic of the race.
I have
something.
9, 3, 1, 7, and 6 are my 4th and my 5th. So again, we're other than the 6, we're not really lining up at all. I put our favorite son on top. Phil Bauer, trainee Phil, having a really, really good meet. We talked at the top, and we've kind of alluded to it with Dylan. There are the trainers and jockeys down the list who don't have the number of starters, so they're not going to get the number of winners, but they're still having a phenomenal meet. And Phil Bauer is one of those, certainly 43%, showing on my racing form today. Again, I printed that up a couple of days ago. But our favorite son, with the big first out number, I couldn't ignore that. Comes in off a very good workout that touts the horse as being well meant today. A sibling called No More Babies, second in debut, won the next couple of starts. Another sibling called Saving Argument that won the career debut. So I thought there was win early, trainer who can have him ready, trainer going well, good workout. I'll tilt in that direction. Tap into this in the second spot. This is a sibling. Nice Asmussen runner, you might remember, Extra Anejo. Won 2 of the first 3 of the first 5, including the debut effort. This one didn't quite live up to it in debut. Had a little trouble, however. That was down at Churchill. Now comes up for the second start of the career. And a lot of times Asmussen runners improve in the second start. And if that's so, off of that effort, tap into this is dangerous. And Lucas's Mischief in the third spot. Sibling Caroline Street won the career debut on the turf over in Ireland. This one tried the turf in debut and showed a little something before fading. Now interesting, cutting back on the dirt this afternoon. And at a price, as I say, I think the scenario is intriguing. 9, 3, 1, and 7.
The 9th entry-level allowance, 1 mile and 16th on the inner turf course.
9, 10, 3, and 5 for me. I'm going to put Sambaru on top, but the post position is a little dicey. I think I mentioned the mile and a 16th inner turf post positions yesterday. I'll just reiterate, however. Post position 8, if there's a scratch, this one might get that. 4 for 32, so a little something there. Post position 10 is 3 for 21. Post position 9, however, 1 mile and a 16th on the inner. This season at Saratoga, 0 for 25. Given the 8 and the 10, that seems like an aberration. This is one where I'd like to see the odds because it seems like a wacky aberration, but it is notable when you get out to the outside post positions. It's a little tougher to get it done. So Sambaru has to overcome that. But I think the Mike Maker runner comes in with enough talent to be a real player in here. I used another one on the outside, Laurel Valley in the second spot. Also a Mike Maker runner. This one has some early speed, typically, that may get us into a decent position as we head into the first turn. That'll hopefully be the game plan. And Ramble and Wreck, much better post position here for Ramble and Wreck. A couple of improving numbers to start the season, could be primed for even a better effort in the third start. Beck, 9, 10, 3, and 5.
I don't have much of a feel for this race except what Seth just said at the end, that Ramble and Wreck drew the better post position and advantageous. So I'm 3, 10, 6 here. Laurel Valley, to me, you're getting the price, I think, is really a function of the post position because I don't have much separation between Ramblin' Wreck and Laurel Valley, and Laurel Valley is twice the price from the outside. and then I have Barrage for third. But I would be interested in, I make this claim about the Diana. I think the Diana should always be on the Mellon turf course because I think you get a fairer run. I'd like to hear from jockeys if they feel exactly hampered by 8, 9, and 10 on the Mellon as they feel on the inner. And if they say it's even, then I'd be surprised, but I'd walk away from my thought that the Diana, which is one of the most prestigious races in America, should be run on the Mellon. But if they say that they feel as if they have a greater opportunity for success, whether that's running second or third on the Mellon than the inner, which, by the way, makes sense to me, then I'd be like, we should seriously consider, the important mile and an eighth races. Because remember, we can run a mile and 16th and a mile and an eighth on both courses. But I'd be interested in a jockey. I know you have another one on? Because Ramon was obviously a brilliant jockey. If I see him, I'm going to ask him someday. It makes sense to me that like I said, I just think you have a fair shake on the Mellon. But that's me. We take a quick break. When we come back, stakes action.
For more than 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 102-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 102 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
The only thing better than watching the races is watching your own racehorse. With nearly 20 years experience in the racing industry, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program enables everyday fans to become part owner of a thoroughbred for far less than you might think, with all the ownership perks at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, and other great tracks. Experience the thrill and lifestyle of owning your own thoroughbred racehorse. Learn more at bonaventurestables.com.
And as we wrap up a Bonaventure commercial, again, good luck to Dan Collins and company with Oceans Reserve this afternoon. Always like to root for the locals and the connections and whatnot that we have a good relationship with. And being advertisers here, we're certainly rooting for Bonaventure Stables. All right, 10th race this afternoon. It is the Prioress. We kick off some stakes action with a grade 3 event, couple $100,000 for the 3-year-old fillies sprinting 3/4 of a mile.
And I know this will seem, whenever the Prioress comes up, and it moved up to Saratoga years ago, I always think of Diane Nelson, who left us too soon.
Yeah.
I'm relatively sure AC Ducey was her first grade 1 victory in the Prioress. I don't know how many her career, but when it comes up, and as I said, the Prioress moved up to Saratoga, it's kind of funny that I think there was a thought that the Prioress and the Test, but we don't really kind of get that coupling because the Test left the Alabama, but it kind of hasn't worked out there. And I thought about this race for a long time. And when I was done, as perplexed as I was, I actually felt very strongly that I liked Bright Work very much today in this spot. She gets back to sprinting. She won the spin-away going 7. It's the first start of the year. She ran well at the beginning. So there are certainly some question marks. Scratched out earlier than me, but I like Bright Work here. Autumn Evening as a long shot in here for Todd Pletcher, making the second start since early May, and then Too Sharp taking on winners for the first time after running a hole in the wind, 9-2-7.
3, 7, 1, and 9 for me. I thought Tricky Temper put in a pretty good couple of starts here at the meet. Has started 3 times, so this would be the 4th time starting, and it's kind of put them together more quickly. After the last race, I think Jeremiah even said in the winner's circle, it doesn't usually like to come back that quickly. But then somebody said, well, what about the priors? He said, when's that come up? And maybe this horse likes that. So if they elect to go, Tricky Temper, I think, is going to be interesting in the current form. Certainly New York bred, but intriguing in this open company race. Too sharp for Phil Bauer. Has lived up to the name, certainly. Career debut was a nice little second place finish down at Churchill. Benefited from that experience with a big effort here at Saratoga. Now the third start. This is a big S in stakes company, but seems eligible to be heard from given that last effort. Miachia, if I came close to the pronunciation, comes up from Gulfstream off of a couple of nice stakes efforts and should be a player here. Nice work coming into this locally. I put Bright Work in the fourth spot. I'm kind of rooting for that one. Interested to see what she can do off the layoff. John Ortiz, nice guy, and we had him in last year after Bright Work had run so well up here as a 2-year-old in stakes company. So certainly rooting for her comeback, but hasn't been seen since the Breeders' Cup. Did get scratched out of the test. Now, it was the horse fell down in the paddock, and when they do that, yacked it up and fell down. And when they do that, they're just an automatic scratch. I think the horse was fine. Subsequently has worked nicely. And so I'm interested. I just, in the scenario, layoff like that, I couldn't quite pull the trigger there, but wouldn't argue that one is going to be live as well. 3, 7, 1, and 9.
And speaking of last year's winner of the Spinaway, which, by the way, is considerably older than the Hopeful, just so people realize that.
2-year-old fillies as opposed to the 2-year-old males.
Yeah.
6, 11, 8, and 10 salted on top. I talked about this one earlier in my dark horse play of the day. We showed the replay of that race last time, where the horse was way
half the field covered,
way in the back of the pack, and closed just very impressively. I think this one comes in off of that effort and is intriguing at 8-1, to say the least. Quiet Side in the second spot. John Ortiz runner off a debut maiden breaker that was very impressive. And, it's tough to go from your debut maiden win into a stakes race. But in the 21st century, it's clearly not unheard of by any means. I think this horse is eligible. Then I put the Queen's MG in the third spot. She's been phenomenal so far. Wins the Schuylerville at a huge price. Follows it up with the Adirondack win, which was as impressive by daylight. The odds went down notably. She's clearly very, very talented and perhaps the one to beat. Bellicose is intriguing, won the debut effort. Then John Stewart and Resolute Racing jumped in and picked up at least a piece of her, and they elect to take the shot here again off the maiden breaker. Nice little New York bred. So she's interesting for me. 6, 11, 8, and 10.
You have a 2-time Sarah. She's trying to copycat overall 37 years ago, but overall did it in 24 days, sweeping the series. The Queen's MG, tremendous, but the buyers indicate sort of some vulnerability, but she keeps passing the acid test. I went 2, 7, 10. We have 6 covered in here. I thought it was a wide open race, and I thought Mark Cassie's runner making the third career start. Loved the debut. I got the regression out of the way. Now we get the grade 1. Pondering, second career start. That old, as I said, I don't like the ones that run the 92 debut winners. I like the high 70s, low 80s. And then Bellicose, who was very impressive, grabbing the race right from the throat. 2, 7, and 10 in what I consider a wide open spinaway.
More stakes action as we move forward in the Saturday card. Race number 12 is the Flower Bowl Grade 2 event. $500,000 up for grabs. The ladies will go 1 mile and 3/8 on the grass.
And there's been very few horses that are usually short prices that I have carried the water for, as much as I love Warlike Goddess, who was running against the boys in the Breeders' Cup on multiple occasions and done well. I am 4-1-7. She's 7 years old now. I have eternal hope. Warlike Goddess, so I'll get to a moment. But I have eternal hope on top. I like the seasonal debut in the Glens Falls, the other turf marathon. Warlike Goddess, I don't know that she's as good as she used to be. There was a while there, Seth, where she was only running 1/8 of a mile and winning races. And then McCulloch, who was very sharp and beat me in the Glens Falls. Parnack in here, who did what we said Dylan Davis should do last year in this. She was the lone speed. He went and grabbed the race. 4-1-7 to me in a very intriguing Flower Bowl.
7-1-8-3. I put Bikulik on top off that Glens Falls victory. I wrote Ortiz sticks on board, and that win was nice looking and leads into this in a fashion that I think can allow her to put a couple together. But it's a competitive field. I put Warlike Goddess underneath. It seemed, 2 and 3 starts back, going back to last year, facing the boys in the Breeders' Cup turf. Maybe she wasn't quite the same Warlike Goddess, but I think the stakes win last time at Delaware tipped the hand that she's probably going to be very, very competitive in here this afternoon. And then I took a shot with Idea Generation. The 8-horse, kind of the other Chad Brown angle at 20-1. I don't think this horse is totally out of it. The numbers are a little light, except for the 1-2 back. And that was at the end of last year. Now comes back off a seasonal debut that maybe we build on. And it's Chad and Klarovich with a horse that's going to escape at a price. For me, 7-1-8-3.
I'll tell you one thing. I think this card from a betting and aesthetics is outstanding because I know Warlike Goddess is 7-5, but I think the 3 stakes races are wide open. The other races, including this get-out race, a mile is 16th on the Mellon Turf Course, the commingled optional claimer starter allowance.
9, 8, 12, and 6. I'm going to put Kick-a-Buck on top. Linda Rice off the claim, claimed out of a maiden breaker. We always talk about this. Had to be disappointed that they jumped in. Not disappointed, but not surprised because it was a Chad Brown, Peter Brandt runner dropping down. So they knew that this horse maybe had a little class that just wasn't lived up to, and they could play around with this one going forward. Might turn out to be a very clever claim, but they do have to move into another condition. I think, though, this horse will be a solid fit. Our Country in the second spot. Nice price on this Mark Hennig trainee who comes back in the second start of the season off a seasonal debut effort that was pretty good. Way in the back of the pack and showed some closing punch. Should benefit from that, I would think. And then we'll go to number 12, Palace View. I ride Ortiz on board for Mark Cassie. Horses in good form, I was going to say, but I think competitive form with this bunch at the very least. 9, 8, 12, and 6.
4, 12, 7 for me. Ms. Teutonic breaks the maiden at the spot in late July, takes on winners for the first time. Third start off a long layoff. Then on the outside of the main body is Palace View. It's just hard. And you see Seth has in third. It's just, you take a short price. You might even get a shorter price with Irad Ortiz in the saddle, and you're facing the geometry hurdle. Now, I talked earlier, the Mellon versus the Inner at a mile is 16th. And then Devil's Got a Cause. They add blinkers for Dallas Stewart. With Luis Saez, who gets a much better post position draw today off of the outside post on the Inner, now gets the middle on the Mellon. 4, 12, 7 for me.
All right. Once again, I will alert you to the promos coming up here over the next couple of days at OTB. The King of the Hill contest today. Go down to the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. If that's where you want to watch your racing action today, you can look at all the other tracks. There's the Pacific Classic today at Delamar. Big racing at Kentucky Downs. That's a good point. Adair Manor tied up a little bit yesterday morning, and so Bob Beffert declared her out. So that changes the complexion of the race entirely. But again, you can watch the racing, other sports if you go down to the Racebook. So King of the Hill contest, a little extra fun. Bounty bet today here at Saratoga. Play it with your Capital OTB bet account. The last pick 5 at Saratoga, get a shot at the bounty. And the pick 3 bankroll will be tomorrow, as it has been every Sunday. But entries are still open until about noontime tomorrow. So go today, put your name in the hat to potentially get on tomorrow's pick 3 bankroll team. And coming up in just a few minutes, Racing Across America pre-taped with Mark Cassie and more. All of that in just a couple of minutes.
All right. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning. 3 more days of racing. Enjoy them.
This has been the Handicappers Report, brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.